you ready to begin?
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 191 of Lords of the Storm, a Heroes of the Storm podcast. My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Ryan TBKZord Reader, and making his second appearance in a row, which might be a first, Mr. Alpacazord Jennington, here to keep his quiet yet impactful and well-thought thoughts for the show. He is here.
You might say it's impactful.
One might say that, possibly. But on this week's episode, we are going to bring back long-lost segments of the show for 1 week only because they were requested, and it kind of makes sense this week.
It does.
So if you're newer, you probably, you don't know what it is. But speaking of core throwing shade, they're going to throw shade on this for us bringing this back. So there's just going to be more coming. But Twitch drops are back, which are incredible. I got my Chomp emotes today all ready for this week.
Same here.
Nice. Orphea hits the live servers. Post BlizzCon AMA has wrapped up, and we're going to talk the state of Brawls. Good old Brawls. Are you doing them? Who's doing them? What do you like about them? What do you not like about them? Where do we want to see them go? We're going to talk about it all this week. But first, let's see how the other Zords are doing. TBK, how are you doing this week? What have you been up to in Heroes?
I am doing well. This has actually been a really good Heroes week. I've played a ton. I've been doing regular Team League, as I've been kind of talking about over the last few weeks. And I hit another goal on Monday. I was hoping to hit it over the weekend, but didn't quite get there. But I hit Plat 1 on Monday. And funny enough, almost hit Diamond 5 in the same night. But it was not quite.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not quite to be. It was close. So my hope is that by next week's show, I will be able to say I hit Diamond 5.
Nice.
So working on it. It's getting there. It's been a long journey because my Team League account for the first several seasons, I was kind of we used to do like a Monday night Team League thing, and so over the first several seasons we just played with people, like whoever, just jump in, get 10 placements done, get your mount type thing. It was like a last minute mount type gameplay night. That does not work super well for your Team League ranking.
Yeah.
And so 2 seasons ago, when I decided, okay, I'm actually going to get serious about this, I started in Silver 3. And so over the past 2 seasons, I have brought it up from Silver 3 to Plat 1 now. So working on it, there's definitely Platinum has been the sloggiest point.
Yeah,
I think, and it makes sense, right? Platinum is kind of the dumping ground right now for everyone that for new people at the top of their placements. It goes there, and I think that's the highest you can place for if you're new, and so it's kind of the new diamond in a lot of ways. So the games have been getting better the higher through Platinum I've gotten. So I'm actually really interested to see how the Diamond games are. And I've been doing this mostly as like duo trio queues for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to hear how those go as well because so Hero League, I'm a Plat player, and my goal was to push till it's Diamond back whenever I was streaming a lot between jobs. But I just really haven't had time to commit to Hero League to continue that grind. But I've been in the same boat with Team League, to where I think I was like low to mid silver because I was doing the same thing. So we'll see how that impacts whenever it gets to a single queue for rank mode, which they answered a little bit in the AMAs, but I have some concerns with that, but we'll get to that when we get there. But yeah, I've been having a blast this week. I've still been playing a lot of Gul'dan, and I've been trying to learn Alarak this last week because the week he came out, I think I played him up till 5. And then
have you been using the Alarak announcer to build your confidence up while you're playing Alarak?
Yeah, and it works like a charm. But his level 1 quest, man, that thing isn't easy to get that 3-man complete. It got easier once I realized, oh hey, I don't actually have to cast this on an enemy. I can use a minion or a structure or something to get those stacks. But he's not an easy hero. So I'm still working on it. He's not ready for ranked or anything like that. Gul'dan is my go-to there still. And then today and last night, I've been playing a lot of Orphea. I really like her. She's pretty cool, and she's still real strong, even after the hits she took from PTR to live. And
Orphea is awesome.
Yeah, we'll get into that as well.
Super fun.
And
apparently, thanks Mosley for pointing this out, because as everyone knows, pronunciation of things is by far the strongest suit of this podcast.
Mine especially.
Yours especially, no question. It is Orphea, not Orphea. Emphasis on the OR.
To me, it's like that's the same thing, but I get it. I understand. So which did I say? Did I say Orphea that time, or was
apparently we were just kind of all over the place?
Yeah, when I'm not thinking about it, I think I go to the Orphea, but it's,
I know,
that's
right?
ward.
It's Orphea.
It's Orphea.
Yep.
So I'm working on it.
Emphasis on the OR.
I'm working on it. But speaking of Orphea, her skin, the bundle, which we do have a few codes for here, if you're at the live show, is incredible. I think it's called Slacker Orphea. But Chomp, at least in the load-in screen, has braces. It's incredible.
That is the best thing.
I don't know if he actually does on the animation, the ability itself, but the braces are incredible. I saw them, and then I was like, okay, it's an insta-buy for me. I didn't have to buy the hero. I mean, technically, I had to buy the hero because for BlizzCon and stuff. But
yeah, it's nice. If you haven't logged in yet, she's free if you got a BlizzCon virtual ticket.
Yes,
went to BlizzCon, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Orifice is a mispronunciation, I believe, and that makes she is a great hero though. Good old Orphea. But we will talk a little bit more about her this week because she has gone live, but we're not going to go too in depth because, of course, next week we will be doing our Hero of the Week on Orphea, which we'll be going through a build to kind of get you in if you haven't played her yet. One that sometimes is kind of the go-to build, not all the time. It's more just a build to get you comfortable with the hero and kind of set you up for success. But we have a feeling she may see another change between then because...
a few talent tweaks, maybe.
Maybe, because it's a little nuts right now.
It is kind of working out how I thought it would, though. She's very low 40s win rate right now. And that's very much what I expected it to be, and I expect that will probably rise slowly over the next several weeks as people get a little more accustomed to her.
Yeah, that, and then we'll see some people, because again, a ton of people got her that probably wouldn't have picked her up initially.
It's probably,
and they'll start dropping off too, and so it'll start to rise. But before we get into the news this week, TBK, it's been forever since I asked you this, but what do we got going on in store sales this week?
Gasp. What? Store sales this week? Well, let's get going. We got Cho'Gall and Jaina on sale for gems. We have the Corruptor Cho'Gall skin, the Abyssal Dreadlord Jaina, Star Queen Li Ming, Chaos Asgul'dan, Stormgrad, Prince Arthas, Nameless Road Raider Rainer, Magical Star Chariot, and Vespin Ghost Speeder, all on sale in the current deals. Also, and one of the main reasons that we're doing this is because we've got some really cool bundles and stuff that have come out with this latest patch. And so we now have the Welcome to the Nexus bundle, which is 10 heroes, Thrall, Jaina, Lucio, several heroes from each franchise. And for 1,600 gems, so 10 heroes for 1,600 gems is a pretty good deal. There's also a Heroic Reinforcement bundle, which is 30 different heroes for 4,000 gems. Again, fairly heavily discounted.
Yeah.
And then as you know, this time around, Stimbacks have been renamed and retooled into something called boosts. And right now, at least for the next probably few weeks, all boosts are 33% off. So the 7-day boost is 400 gems, the 30-day boost is 1,000 gems, and the 360-day boost is 6,000 gems. So this is, I assume maybe we'll get a Black Friday sale. I don't know. That is next week, technically. They haven't said anything about it yet, but this is kind of ish a Black Friday-like deal, at least as far as the boosts are concerned. And it's really interesting, too, and we can talk about this for just a second, because boosts are really prominent now. Like, if in your friends list, it shows if you have a boost.
And I got to say...
in the portraits, it shows if you had a boost. In game, it shows if you have a boost.
If you invite me to a game on my friends list and you don't have a boost, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
I'm actually a tad worried about that.
Yeah.
Like, don't, please. And this is partially, I mean, it's partially Blizzard's fault for making it so prominent. I understand the reasoning behind it. It's a cool thing. It allows you to be like, oh, thanks, person, for giving me 5 extra percent XP. And it's good in some ways for Blizzard because it's peer pressure, right? It's like, oh, man, everybody has a boost but me. I guess I probably should just buy a boost. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. It's just kind of how it is. But I don't want to see like, oh, my gosh, you don't have a boost. You're the worst person ever.
It's like, oh, man.
No, never. Please, no.
My friends list is full XP. Because Blizzard will never expand it again, and I got to make room for some other people. Oh, these people don't have boosts. Sorry. No, I'm not going to do that. But
don't be like that. Never be like that. That's horrible. But it is a fun little thing. It's a nice little bonus. I have yet to be in a game where everyone has one. I think the highest I've seen so far has been a 25% boost. And it can go all the way up because yours doesn't count. Mm-hmm. So it can go all the way up to 45% extra XP. So I got decently close.
Yeah, I think I've had a 35 or 40, but that was earlier on in the day. Like tonight, it's really been, I've had games where it's just me, which was actually really surprising. But do we know, do you get that 5% bonus even if you don't have a boost yourself? Or do you have to have a boost in order to receive that boost?
You don't have to have a boost in order to receive it. It's kind of like a pay it forward type thing almost.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, it's basically a stim pack with extra value to benefit other people.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
And I would say if you're a person that normally gets the 360 day, I would definitely hop on that this week because, again, that usually is a Black Friday sale thing. Who knows if there's going to be another one of those or if this is it. So I missed it one year, and it hurt. So definitely hop on that.
I don't think I could play without a boost.
Yeah,
I've had a stim pack going for forever, and I feel like if I ever let it lapse, it would just feel so slow.
Yeah, well, and
they've got me.
It probably wouldn't hurt as much now because I bet a lot of people will get boosts this week. So, normally pre-boost when they were stim pack, you'd get 100% experience. Now you could get up to 45, so it wouldn't hurt as much, but it's still, you'd feel it.
You miss the gold. You miss the
that
extra.
For sure. Like when things like Wonder William and stuff come out, I don't even have to worry about it. It's just like, all right, let's get it because the gold's there, and that's because of the boosts. But yeah, hop on that stuff, and especially the Heroic Reinforcement Bundle, as someone pointed out in chat, Cuba No. Definitely said that wrong. Apologies. Pointed out it's a 78% discount. So
yeah, if you're a new player, don't have a lot of guys yet, that's a pretty awesome bundle. What I do wish is that Orphea had a skin-only bundle. Because right now her only bundle is her new skins and then the Raven mount.
It's a pretty cool mount.
Which is cool, but 1,600 gems is a lot.
It is.
And so I wish they had just a skin only pack, because since it is a gem only skin, and maybe they will afterwards, I don't know, but I would really like a bundle just for that, because I want that skin so bad. It is so well done.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Okay, so up next, and Multi's not here to do this, which I'm a little sad for, and I'm nervous because I don't do this. But because we brought back the store sales, we're also going to bring this back for a week. Even though this used to be important, I promise it did. Not so much anymore. But we're going to talk about the free hero rotation this week, because it is still some good information if you're wondering why you're seeing a bunch of the same person in quick match or whatever game you're playing. And I don't remember how Multi did this, so again, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you guys down. But the normal rotation we have this week is Artanis, ETC, Phoenix, Kael'Thas, Kharazim, Lili, Ragnaros, Butcher, Zagara, and Zul'jin. So if you see a Butcher, hop on them, because they're probably not going to be very good at stacking. And then, of course, at your level 5, 10, 15, and 20 slots, you have Sylvanas, Illidan, D.Va, and Rexxar, which I have been seeing a lot of Illidan, Sylvanas, and Artanis so far.
Yeah.
Which now makes sense.
Illidan for sure. It does make a lot of sense, because normally I don't see him at all.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the free hero rotation. There you go. Multi's gonna be sad he didn't get to do that. All right.
I know.
So I hope you guys enjoyed those two segments as much as we did, because it's been a long time, and it'll probably be a long time before you ever hear them again, because they're gone. They came and they're gone. So now let's go ahead and hop on into the news. All right, first up, the Twitch drops are enabled once more.
Yes. And
they're so good. I'm so glad they're doing this. Like, it really helps out the streamers, which is awesome. And I think it just, it encourages a lot of things. It encourages people watching streamers. It encourages people watching some higher level gameplay to, get some strats and tips on how to improve heroes. And it just helps the community, grow the community, which is awesome. So they're doing it for Orphea this time, and it is a little different. So it's going through November 13th, which was yesterday, for the next 4 weeks? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
It's going to be going 3 weeks. And the rewards you will get for tuning in, and remember, you just need to watch a Heroes of the Storm Twitch account. So technically this one right now counts. We may be gaming the system a little bit. I don't know, because we're not playing Heroes, but you know what we're talking about, Heroes. So if you're watching right now, and the way it's going to work here for the weeks, if you watch for at least 4 hours during the week, you will earn that week's rewards. And this week, week 1, is the Chomp emoji pack, which again, TBK and I already got. This is the most important
one, I think.
It is. It's really cool. In emojis, man, those are things I don't use in the game. I've never set anything on a favorites bar. I always forget about them, but they're really cool, and I know a lot of people that do use them. But it's a Chomp emoji pack edition. So we got the Ruin with a little hand wave going out. We got Chomp and Orphea with a little heart throbbing above Chomp. You got a Pac-Man Chomp trying to eat something. I don't know what it is. You got an angry Chomp, and then you got I think is that a sad Chomp, a scared Chomp? He doesn't have eyes, so some of these emotions are really hard to tell.
Kind of hard to tell. He looks kind of sad.
Sad or scared, maybe both. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of both. But this is the most important one, and again, you just need to watch 4 hours throughout the week of a Heroes of the Storm stream with your Twitch account connected to your Battle.net account.
The account will say underneath the stream if drops are enabled.
Yep.
For the account. So make sure to check that.
Yes. Week 2 is going to be a baby Chomp portrait, which is also pretty darn cute, but not as cool as the emojis. And then week 3 is going to be a Chomp bubble spray, which is also cool, but again, not as cool as the emojis. I feel like they did these in the exact opposite order. Like it's
maybe,
but who knows? But you
depends
also,
on what you like.
That's true. You'll also have a chance to get some loot chests, which they have done in the past. and that is just tuning in anytime again between November 13th through December 4th. There's no limit to how many times you can earn a reward. It's just going to be random drops. They're going to show up automatically in your BattleNet GIP. What's a GIP? I don't know. I said app and gift at the same time, but also reverse. So that happened. In your gift inventory. So on your launcher, the little gift box that's up there, you'll get a notification, and you just claim those rewards, and they will go to your accounts. And I think I've gotten one so far.
I've gotten one.
And I got the chomp emojis. Yeah. Again, December 4th. These are really cool.
I love these promotions.
They're really good.
These are really huge for all the hero streamers, especially.
They are, and I really wish that they could, maybe not keep them going all the time, but I hope they do them more often. And they have been doing them more often, which is good. So, and this seems to be kind of a longer period that they've been doing them. I think normally they've done them for like a week or two. So this one being 3 weeks
I really
is pretty
hope,
good.
Give it 4 or 5 events of this a year. Once a quarter.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Up next, so Orphea went live this week, and there was a lot announced at BlizzCon. We knew it all was going to be coming at once, but there were a couple things I was really sad didn't come with this patch, and that is the Cloakin announcer, or Kevin Michael Johnson, and Janitor Leoric skin. But have no fear, because they have been announced, and those are going to be joining the Nexus on the 27th. So,
insta-buys for both. Whatever I need to pay. Shards, gems, gold.
All of them. All 3.
All the above. These are 2 of my most anticipated things ever.
I don't even play much Leoric anymore, but this will be an insta-buy for me.
I've actually been picking up Leoric a lot lately, and it's been really fun. I've actually been playing Leoric with Bo quite a bit, and we've been trying different combos with the Entomb stuff. So, Jaina, Orphea, we actually tried the
never-ending whatever.
The monster dolphins. I don't have the name up, and I haven't played her enough to remember it off the top of my head yet.
Eternal Feast.
Yep.
I think
Eternal
that's
Feast dolphins. We tried that even, and we actually got some decent results in one of the games at least. So that's been kind of fun to experiment around with and try. But I've been brushing up on my Leoric in time for Janitor Leoric.
Good.
Because
Leoric turns out he's still pretty darn good.
It's a lot of fun.
If I don't remember,
I've been getting a lot of trait value.
Yeah.
As I've picked him back up.
Hey, it's all about the vision. If I don't remember to title this episode Orphea's never-ending, what'd you call him? I already forgot. Never-ending dolphin monsters?
Dolphin monsters.
Orphea's never-ending dolphin monsters. Then I'll be real upset. So
and that's all I see when I see it.
I guess I haven't looked at it close enough. Is it Chomp that keeps coming up and diving down?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll get a summer skin of Orphea, and it will be a dolphin.
A dolphin with just a gigantic maw. Yes. Make it happen.
Let's do it. She can, she floats, so she could be like floating around in a wave or something. They could do like a Little Mermaid skin for her. Or maybe it could be Flounder. It doesn't even have to be a dolphin. It could just be Flounder hopping up and down on there. But get to the live patch notes here. So again, with Orphea coming out, the other things coming with that, of course, are the boosts. The change to channeled healing abilities with Alexstrasza's Lifebender and Rhaegar's Ancestral Healing are in, where they can no longer be canceled under any conditions besides things that remove them from play. The spell power modifiers are in. Dragonshire art updates are in, which those are really cool. They are really cool. I hadn't seen those yet whenever we talked about them last week. They're pretty cool. He looks...
And apparently there's still some more to come that we'll talk about here shortly.
Okay.
They didn't get them all in.
Okay, that's good. What else with Battlegrounds here? Experience gains from mercenary camps have been unified, so all merc camps are now going to grant experience on capture.
Do you know why they made this change?
Well, in preparation.
This is kind of this is kind of interesting because with the changes they're making to the laning minions and the mercenary XP and stuff, it was actually more beneficial to, because you used to get the XP when you killed the mercenaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was more beneficial to kill your own mercenaries, let the enemy team capture the camp, and then kill them again.
Yep.
And so this fixes that.
Yeah.
Now, and the person who caps it gets the XP.
Yes. So that is a good change in preparation to what is coming. Additional space. I actually didn't pay attention to this because we had a discussion on this. Because was it Mephisto that took up the last remaining slot?
Mm-hmm.
And so now Orphea's here. I guess they've didn't do any big UI changes. They just added in some more rows or whatnot. I haven't seen how many they added in. But yeah, that's cool. Gul'dan at level 16 Rampant Hellfire. That damage bonus has been increased from 8 to 10. And then Orphea got hit pretty hard, actually.
You got a decent nerf, especially in the health department.
One might say not hard enough, at least for a specific thing. But yeah, so her base health has been reduced from 1750 to 1662, and the health regen reduced along with that. Shadow Waltz, base cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds, mana cost increased from 25 to 40, and then mana refund on hit increased from 25 to 40. I do like this change. Because, again, this goes back with just the conditional mobility thing, and this is just more ways to punish you for not landing your skill shots. And not that I think you should be punished for it necessarily, but I think the repercussions needed to be worse than they were for missing those, because that's a lot of mana, and that is you can definitely tell a difference on that second increase. And then level 7, this one, Ravenous Hunger. Now, if you guys don't know this talent, I guarantee you've encountered it, but this is where her chomp, whenever you kill a minion within 1.5 seconds of using chomp on them, you gained in PTR 3 damage, and when you killed a enemy within 1.5 seconds, you gained 60 damage to your chomp. They reduced that, coming over to the live servers, for 2 per minion kill and 40 per hero kill. And
it still feels broken.
It's nuts. I've had games where I was getting, without the slow, I was doing 1,1600 damage with my chomps. And then you get 2 chomps, you get your chomp where it goes on the end of your E. And it's just,
16.
It's nuts. It turns her, once you hit level 7, you just go off in your solo lane and you soak those waves. Or if your team knows and you're just doing the rotation between your 2 lanes, they let you clear, because you can clear a wave like no other with your E and then W and get the full stacks. You're just a late game monster.
There's a reason there's a build going around right now called the one-shot build. Yeah. And it has everything to do with that talent.
It's ridiculous. And people just don't know about it yet. It'll get better once people know about it. But, you'll have a Nova or a Jaina or someone retreat behind their gate, and they're still casting on you. So you just throw your E out there, and then you're still able to do your chomp off that if you went that at 16, and they're not looking for that, and they just die. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to that, whether it's reduce the amount that you're getting there, or if they put a cap on it. But what would you rather they do?
In some ways, I like endlessly scaling talents, just from a skill perspective. But I think from what we've seen, at least, and who knows, once people get better, it may be really, really bad. I would rather them just reduce it down again and just make it slower to stack.
Mm-hmm. And it's honestly,
I like the endlessly stacking talents.
And it's I don't want them to nerf this too quickly, because again, it can be a pain in the butt right now, but we have that time between HGC starting up, so it's not like they have to worry about trying to get it right immediately, so it can be ready for that.
Recently they've been waiting. There hasn't been anything that's been so bad that they've waited or they've done a balance before their 2-week point. It's very seldom done.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I think the minion thing might be all right, keeping that at 2, but the 40 per hero is still nuts. So, because the 40 damage. So, we'll see. We'll keep our eye on that. But again, we might see something next week. Again, with next week's patch notes. The other thing they changed on her was her level 20 Eldritch Conduit, where the spell power per stack reduced from 5 to 3, and spell power max stack bonus reduced from 50 to 30. I haven't taken that because I've been going the Claws ultimate. What's that called? I can remember Eternal Feast, but I can't remember that one. Anyways, the Claws.
I call it Clappy Jaws.
Clappy Jaws. There we go.
Yep.
Because the level 20 on Clappy Jaws is also really good.
It is.
It's hard to hit, but if you have some other setup or something to stack it with, 1, you'll just kill everyone, and 2, you get that reset to 5 seconds.
Yep.
Even if you don't kill with that. And the armor reduction.
It's pretty crazy. Oh, and as Bookworm in chat reminded, Wonder William is available until 11/27. 12K gold.
Oh.
So if you don't have Wonder William yet, start saving your doubloons, because you got to get that mount.
Yeah. Crushing Jaws.
Of all the gold
there
mounts.
It is.
Of all the gold mounts, got to get that one.
Yeah, I feel like that's one. So
I like Clappy Jaws better.
I have missed Ginger Dread Nazebo. I don't know how many years now. Ever since he's been out, I keep forgetting to get him. And it's been hard. I've been able to get over it. And, because I know at some point I'll get him. But if I missed Wonder William, I would have been real upset, because it's just such a good mount.
It's an amazing mount. I have most of my heroes riding it right now.
Yeah. So don't be Gizmo with Ginger Dread Nazebo and forget. Just go ahead and, save up and get him. All you got to do, just get a boost, do your daily quests, get that gold. Get that gold.
Yep.
But that is it. Those
there
bundles.
There is one other
over.
little thing. There's one other little thing, and it was not in the patch notes.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently, fountains are damage immune until their corresponding fort or keep is destroyed in ARAM now. So you can't actually cheese the other person's fountain anymore.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting thing.
It is. I think that's a good change. I saw some people were saying they wanted that for regular games as well, which I don't necessarily agree on, because there's more.
I would say if that was in regular games, then fountains would need to become vulnerable after the towers and gate were down, not the fort. Because I feel like right now, strategically, it's best to, once you get the towers and the gates down, go for that fountain to kind of deny the enemy team.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea behind it, and if they did change it in regular games, I think I could be on board with it if the change was it was connected to the gate and the towers instead of the fort or the keep.
That might be okay. I like being able to strategically do that, especially for like solo laners or something. If you get outdrafted in the solo lane, it still gives you something, and something a teammate can like come up and help you do to even out that solo lane, at least.
But most of the time, that's just cheesing.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not as big of a thing as it used to be. It used to be like what was it, Dragonshire? This was like years ago. It was like anytime Dragonshire, you would immediately go down to like the enemy giant camp and start taking their middle lane fountain.
Oh yeah, it was not good. And there's still they changed quite a bit, and they added the little shields. Mm-hmm. But there's still a few maps and a few fountains that you can cheese. So I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't be sad if they made the change, as long as it was connected to the towers and gates and not the fort.
Yeah.
For ARAM, I think it makes sense.
For sure.
I can see that in ARAM, but in a real game, I don't think you could connect it to the fort. I think that would take away too much strategy of killing that once the front defenses were down.
Yeah. You know what still doesn't make sense in ARAMs? And I was real sad that I ended up, I was going to ask it in the AMA and I didn't. And that is, why can't we actually do ARAM in ARAM? Because you still can't. It's just the slot machine.
I've asked about this. I asked about it at BlizzCon several times, and I really, really hope they make a change.
What was the response to it?
The response was, we'll have to see how hard it is.
What do you mean? It was there before.
Who knows? Who knows?
Like, you made it hard by adding in this mode.
Yeah, I don't know. It does. I do wish we could draft or direct pick in ARAM maps.
Yeah.
In customs. That change made me super sad, because especially for if and when we bring back Lords of the Lane, right now we cannot do Lords of the Lane on the ARAM map.
Yeah, we got to go back to
our
3-lane.
That's our 2v2 tournament that we used to run quite a bit, and we're hoping to bring back sometime soon. It's a ton of fun, but we used to have to do it on Dragonshire middle lane or Cursed Hollow middle lane, because there was no single lane ARAM map. But then they came out with one and we were like, yes, this is awesome. And it worked great up until they made the tri-pick change, and then you could no longer pick what you wanted.
Yep.
That was really sad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. But speaking of the AMA, that happened last week, the post-BlizzCon AMA because they didn't have much Q&A time or anything on their panels, so they wanted to give us a chance there. And the first one, we're not going to go over everything, but we're going to kind of hit some of the highlights. First one is actually going to tie into our discussion we're going to have here in a little bit, and it came from Super Jace, and KO Milker answered it. He said, the PvE brawls were amazing. Have you considered having these as a permanent feature? KO Milker responded that the team had a lot of fun making Escape from Braxis and Dead Man's Stand. The brawls took the team back to their StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 campaign roots and let them combine their favorite things from Heroes with those games. They have gotten the excitement and feedback from those brawls, and they're super helpful. And they didn't have any info on future PvE content, but those brawls will return at times. So, nothing new, at least ready to announce in the works as far as future PvE
kind of
stuff.
Kind of a non-answer.
Yeah. Which there was a few of those on this AMA, but...
Yeah, like the additional Battlegrounds one, it's just like, yeah, Battlegrounds are cool. The remake of Garden of Terra was awesome.
Yeah, it goes into the remake of Garden of Terra, which is cool. But
one big one that I did like, and this is completely new information, was the 2019 ranked play update. They will be using the first come first serve pick option for everything.
Which you kind of have to. I mean, if you...
And this is instead of swaps, though.
Yes, that is the big thing I got from that.
Which that's something for sure.
You don't need
that will
swaps.
That will make a big difference.
Yeah, you don't need swaps if you're doing first come first serve. The question is, are they going to move the first come first serve into unranked draft? Which, if this is how it's going to be in ranked, I would say that they need
yes.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume yes, because they did say that unranked draft was like the testing ground type thing for ranked draft anyway. So this might just come at the same time.
Yeah. What was the next one that stuck out to you?
There's a little bit of lore stuff. The next big thing is also on ranked stuff. Unifying leaderboards, party restrictions, and swaps draft order. At the moment, they said, this is really interesting. At the moment, we're considering using a single unified MMR that works for the new ranked mode. Players who have reached the leaderboard will be able to view their performance in solo-only queues separate from the standard queue. We understand the concern over Smurfs in Team League and how that might impact the integrity of the latter. So that's really interesting. That's something we were guessing that it was going to potentially use different MMRs for the solo-only queue.
I wish it did.
And the Team League queue. And I'm very hesitant on this because what MMR is that seeded from?
So
is that seeded from your Hero League? Is that seeded from your Team League? Is that seeded from your most recently played thing? That's a little iffy for me.
They've said it's going to be a combination of both. From what I understand, they were doing something to calculate a new MMR based off of both your Hero League and Team League. So my guess is it would be something in between, which, it's a good thing you've been working on your Team League draft, because now you're pulling, plat to plat, to whereas for me, I should probably start working on Team League, because right now I would be pulling somewhere from plat to silver. So it'd probably be placing me at gold, I imagine, somewhere.
I really hope they come out with a blog that explains more of the background of what they're wanting.
I wish I remember where I saw them talking about that, because it really didn't sound like they knew exactly what they were going to do to get that MMR yet. But that was the plan, was to get something to unify both of them. But still, that I really just wish we still had the separate MMRs based on if you wanted to queue solo or as a team. Because
we'll have to see if that evolves.
Yeah, because Team League, it's for sure gotten better, but it's still, a mode that I don't personally take as seriously as Hero League. And I don't mean that as in, like, I don't go in and I don't try as hard. But, like, Hero League is my place to go in and try and grind a ladder, whereas Team League, it's still a point to where I'm like, okay, this is, like, I want to try hard, but with friends. And so I don't really care about different ranks or anything like that. So the games are just different.
To be honest, that's where I have the most fun. And I think that's why Team League has become so popular, is I can play with friends, and this game is all about playing with other people. And so, I don't know, maybe that's more important. I don't know. And interestingly, he talks about party restrictions as well. Mm-hmm. And this is really interesting, and will potentially help with smurfing or boosting or whatever. Although technically, anybody who plays with me is boosted. It's a boost joke. Party restrictions, as well as hero ownership level restrictions, will return with the release of the new ranked mode, perhaps even sooner than that. One big change we're planning on making here is that if you queue as a group of 5, we will remove these party restrictions, but set the party MMR to match the most skilled player in the party. In this way, a GM can play with their bronze friends, but they're going to get matched up against other GM teams.
That's excellent.
I really like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great.
And this will still technically allow those players to boost, like if they're trying to boost alternate accounts, but it doesn't affect it. Even that shouldn't affect the gameplay, because they would still be Grandmasters players on like bronze accounts. So I do really like that. I'm interested. Have they said what the rank restrictions are going to be for 2, 3s, and 4s? Is it going to be like the one full
I honestly
rank
don't
above?
know.
I guess they probably haven't announced yet, because we don't even know what the ranking system's going to look like.
Yeah, because it's going to be completely different, because we're going to a ladder system. Yeah. Where there's, the 50 rungs or whatever. So you'll be in a lot of ways, it'll be maybe a little better for you mentally, because you'll be changing ranks constantly in the new system, if it's what I understand they're talking about it to be.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. One other big one too is player names. Mm-hmm. So this question came up. Originally, the change was made alongside another one that prevented players from inspecting the profile of members of the opposing team. This was done in part to prevent lower-ranked players from having their 1 or 2 characters banned out from beneath them while they're still improving. With that change in place, we definitely have seen a slow rise in one-trick players reaching high diamond and even masters. We agree that it's a problem and plan to once again allow you to see the names of players on the opposing team, but we still won't allow profile inspection. We think this protects the lower-ranked players who have far larger pools of competitors to play with, while allowing high-ranked players the ability to identify that one guy who picks Artanis in every single draft.
See, I don't know.
I'm good with this. I'm thumbs up on this.
I'm not. I'm 100% with them bringing the enemy names back. We had this discussion a while back. I wish they would bring back being able to inspect too. The example they give here is them saying, oh, we don't want people doing that to lower rank people, but it's okay to do it to higher rank people. I feel like it's
because of the one tricking.
Yeah, but that would still be people can do that in lower ranks too.
Maybe to a lesser extent. I think the whole idea is if somebody one tricks something all the way up to a really high rank, does that person actually deserve to belong there?
Well,
that's the big question, right? And this tells me they're saying probably not.
Well, in that case, they won't get to this point if they're one tricking and people are banning them out in their climb because they're inspecting their profile. So then they'll never even get to Grandmaster. I mean, I personally think it just adds strategy. I think you should be able to give people information, and not everyone's going to use it. But like if you can inspect, you know, it just adds strategy to the draft. It encourages people to have bigger drafting pools to play more heroes, which would make the overall state of the game healthier, I think. And it's something I think would possibly, you know, it would be rough for the players that are one tricking right now for a little while, that are in the lower leagues. But guess what? Eventually, they're going to open up their pool, and it's going to be fine. I just think it's good to have that information, for me personally. But
they're meeting you halfway.
Yeah, because I mean, technically you can still go on HOTS logs or whatever. Granted, not everyone has an account, but
yep, that's very true.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'm not. It's meh to me. So
it's neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral to you.
The other thing with ranked play right now, I wanted to bring up with the whole first come first serve, because we don't know when we're actually going to get these changes to rank. They are actually discussing adding first come first serve into Hero League before the new mode is released.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
kind of.
It'd be really cool.
They don't want to drop too many changes all at the same time, which is one of the reasons they said they were going to roll this out over the course of next year. So that would kind of make sense. Mm-hmm. Sticks within their stuff. Let's see. This one's interesting. Does the team believe Abathur needs a rework? And this is a touchy subject because Abathur, of course, is extremely unique. And they said, we're currently looking at doing a small update to Abathur to address some pro player feedback surrounding regenerative microbes and sustained carapace. Basically, Abathur is probably providing too much healing so early in the match, and this is incredibly powerful at higher level of play. This will most likely take place in a smaller balance patch, but as we dive into Abathur, we may look for other ways that we can improve his talent tree and overall gameplay in the future, but they don't currently have a reworked plan for him, just some talent tweaks. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I hope it's not done in such a way that it removes a fun, unique strategy that Abathur can provide.
Yeah. I get that. I can understand that. There were a ton of questions here regarding Orphea's lore. What was it like bringing her in? What was it like animating her? All which is really good things. We don't really need to cover those because we went over some of them in our interview, and then we've gone over some of them in just other discussions. But if you guys are still wanting to learn more about Orphea, like that she's a teenager, you guys can check out this stuff. It'll be in the show notes. Is there...
I think there's the only one left that I wanted to address personally was a question by Cavalier Guest. Are there any plans to let people know which map they'll be queuing onto in some way? They said that's a good question. It's something they've discussed internally, but they don't have any plans to make changes as of yet. They love that Quick Match is casually competitive, where players can select a hero they want to play and quickly hop in. At the same time, they understand that more specialized characters may have a harder time on specific battlegrounds. For example, Abathur plays very differently on BOE than he does on Cursed Hollow. We're not sure this needs to be addressed, but I'm curious how you would expect this to function. We've discussed allowing players to queue as a specific role in Quick Match, then view the map before locking in their hero. We've also discussed things like having a single map available for a small window of time, and you queue knowing which battleground it is ahead of time. Both these require a significant amount of work, though, so we're cautious of spending a large amount of development time on this. It's important to remember there are a variety of game modes available that each offer different experience. Players who are looking for a more competitive experience already have multiple draft modes to choose from. I 100% agree that having multiple battlegrounds is a key part of the Heroes experience. We do want to make sure that this is not adding an additional barrier for new users. So it sounds like it's something that's interesting to them, but they're not planning to do anything about it yet. But if you have an idea of how you might make something like that work for Quick Match, to shoot it over to them. Let them know.
I honestly have no idea how you would do that. Not a clue. Because one, if it did work, I imagine that would be extending queues, because the only way I can even possibly see implementing that is each time the matchmaker's like constantly running, so that each time somebody enters the quick match tab, it's showing what map you're going to get queued on. So then it's having to wait for those people to queue in order to fill the hero pool for that map. But you would have to have extra people just in case there's some people that are like AFK on the quick match menu or waiting for people. But then you'd run into issues of, okay, well, we had all these people for this pool for this map, but now we had more than 10 people queue. So now do we kick somebody out of queue and then give them another map, or do we just throw them on a random map that needed another one? It's just, that sounds like a nightmare to me, trying to figure out a way to make that work. It would be cool if they could. I just don't see how.
It would take some thought to come up with something that would not waste a lot of time.
Yeah. Because
Quick Match, for all that some people have against it, is easy. You select your hero, you click go.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that's what I was playing Orphea in today. And was it rough? Yeah. Orphea's pretty rough, turns out, when you don't have any frontline or anything like that. But, you know, it's it is what it is. And that'll help whenever we get the role system.
Yeah, the hardening of the roles.
Which, you know, isn't going to keep you from, or it's not going to allow you to play hero specifically to a map for strategy anyways, which I'm not sure is really needed in Quick Match. Because there's only a few heroes, a low percentage of heroes that will actually affect. As far as, the hero I'm playing is not good on this map, or
when they change it to tank, healer, ranged assassin, and 2 flex, the biggest thing I think for me that I've seen was going into a map that really needed wave clear badly and not having a wave clear hero. And most, not all, but most ranged assassins have some way to wave clear. So that should hopefully help.
Yeah. And Wicked Kitten has the idea of this would be like League does it, except it doesn't matter for them because they don't have the map, but you would queue up for a role and then, boom, get put in a game. And then you can pick your hero. Do like a blind pick, so you still don't have to draft your team. You can just build your team there. Something like that could work, but that still makes it where people would possibly get upset that you're wanting to play a certain hero. So,
yeah, and it might slow things down.
Yeah, for sure.
Too.
So again, if you have any ideas, shoot that in. But we're gonna move on to our next discussion point here. We had our question of the week last week of what is your current opinion on Blizz Heroes Brawls? Are they something you still do? Are they something you avoid? Something you've forgotten about? You know, what's your vision for what Brawls should be? And we got a lot of responses on this.
Oh, boy.
So thank you.
People had opinions.
Yes, thank you very much. And we'll save Haloran's response because that'll go into a bigger discussion here for a second. Which is, I think, a valued discussion to have. But I'll read off a few here. We got one from Ro. It says he would like to see Brawls take a new direction to a degree. Perhaps last for 2 weeks instead of 1. Half the month you have a fun brawl with wacky rules. The other half perhaps a PvE mini campaign that can help progress the story of the Raven Lord's crusade. which, you know, who knows what's going on with the Raven Lord's Crusade. We'll get to that here when we talk some more in a second. And I think TBK has some opinions on it. I don't know. Do you possibly have a few opinions there?
Oh boy, that's a can of worms.
Yeah. Multizord, who's this guy writing in on it? I totally don't do them anymore, even during an event which has loot chests. I particularly want. He just feels they are often not worth the time constraint when he could be playing an actual game. We got people that say, I'll play a Brawl when it's an ARAM map. Might just do it for the weekly loot chests. Otherwise, replay value is most Brawl maps is non-existent. That comes to us from Just Call Me Royce. Line of Sight Gaming. All the HOTS I've played this week has been Brawls, but the current one has definitely been my favorite. So I do want to talk about that one. Last week's was super cool. It's the second time it's been up, I think.
Yeah, like the death match.
Yeah, it's kind of like... what's that game on Steam? It's like a mix between Heroes and WoW Arenas that I Battle Right. It's kind of like a Battle Right mode in Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super fast. And we played Tatva and I and some other people, KBKZord. I think we probably played like 10 to 15 matches in a row of that. Because it was super, super quick, super fun.
Yeah. And honestly, like reading through these, like Couch Mom writes, pull party and the Chromie ones. The PvE brawls like Escape from Braxis and ARAMs are the only ones I touch. The only ones I will replay after I get the chest are pull party and the ARAMs. The rest just aren't for me. If you read through a lot of these responses, in all honesty, there are a few people who will just play brawls, and that makes sense. There's always a subsection of people that will latch onto something and do it. But the majority of these responses kind of tell me that most of the community seems to be interested in either ARAMs or in very non-traditional maps. Mm-hmm. Like ones that are very short time period and very different from what an actual game is. Because otherwise, why am I not playing an actual game, especially when it takes 3 of them to get me a single loot chest? Because Brawls used to give a gold reward. And I think the 1,000 gold reward was far more enticing to get people into Brawls than a single loot chest.
Yeah,
is for sure, because gold in a lot of ways is just more valuable than a single loot chest is. And so that's I don't know what you think reading through them, but yeah, that's my feeling reading through them is people want Brawls to be very different, much shorter, and kind of special modes, and most of the people do not like them at all when they are just variations of maps.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go as far to say as most people don't like them. It's just they're not... Most people forgot about them.
Or just don't do them.
Yeah.
Don't bother spending the time.
Yeah, and like they were cool when they first started out. Like, you know, we would have the ones where you fight over the Immortal or capture the temples. But to your point, you know, those are different, but it's still kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, we're doing this for a chest, but we're also doing the same objective, but it takes a really long time and it's not an actual game. So what am I doing?
Why am I not playing an actual game for full XP, potentially leveling up my hero for a loot chest?
Yeah.
And gold.
So, yeah, so those ones are kind of weird, but like the one I mentioned, the one last week, I wish I remembered what it was called, but a quick description, it was literally like this small battleground, like nothing significant about it. It was 5v5 of everyone the same hero, and there would be in the middle, a random objective would spawn. This would either be you channel for Cursed Hollow, and everyone's health on the enemy team gets put down to 1, and then there's health packs and stuff they can still grab, or you could fight over a point to get the Volskaya robot thingamajig, or everyone would have to get in a safe zone. If they were outside the safe zone, they would get zapped and take a bunch of damage. And it was just a really cool fun, quick, the most important thing, mode to play. Even when it went to 3 rounds, because it was best of 3, it was like maybe 5 minutes. People like the Pole Party, Dodge Brawl, just those super wacky things, I think, and PvE stuff. And I think even if we went to where all the brawls were just those type of things all the time, I still don't think that would get like everyone back into them. Like it wouldn't even get me back into it. Like I may do it every now and then for a chest, but yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing.
So I've got some ideas about what, at least to me, would be a good vision of Brawls, because right now it's kind of there's very little direction to what a brawl is. And so I think for me is first up, I would set up Brawl as kind of an arcade mode almost. You would basically click the Brawl tab and you would have multiple choices on the screen. One choice that is always there would be ARAM. You would always have ARAM that you could queue into. Potentially the ARAM map changes from week to week. There are several ARAM maps that you can do. But ARAM. Second tab, PvE. Always a PvE brawl of some sort that you can queue into. Now, there's not a whole lot, of course, in rotation right now, but there's a lot you can do. Technically, right now, I think we have 4 PvE brawls. We've got 2 unique ones and then a heroic version of each of those. So you'd have to, of course, up your repertoire of PvE brawls, but you could do that, then potentially even have legitimate leaderboards for PvE stuff, because that's how you compete for PvE, right? Is you queue into that, boom, there's your leaderboards, and you can see the leaderboards of the week. Awesome. Then as your third option, you have a rotating weekly mini brawl. And by that, I mean Pull Party, the Dodge Brawl, the
Black
Horseman, headless Horseman one that we just had with the pumpkins. That was pretty unique. Yeah, the Black Hearts attack defense.
Even the Hanamura
very short
escort one was okay.
Oh yeah, that was super fun. I played the crap out of that one. That was a ton of fun. So stuff like that is completely different from the main game. The Punisher brawls, where you're just fighting in little arena space, and then like you mentioned, the one you loved, your battle royale or arena map thing, whatever. That is very quick, deathmatchy thing that is very quick, very fun. And so you have all 3 of these. You can do any of them to work towards your weekly reward, and you change their weekly reward back to gold instead of chest.
Or you can even give people an option.
Yeah, or give people an option.
Do you want gold or do you want chest?
But I think that would make Brawl a much more interesting mode, because then you provide player choice. People have been clamoring for a permanent ARAM of some sort. And since we don't have server browsers, essentially, or custom game browsers, that would be a great way to do it, is just leave it up. Queues would go up a little bit, but I've never had Brawl queues that are super crazy anyways. And so having that choice, I can jump into an ARAM now whenever I want. And the map changes every week or every 2 weeks. Cool. Gives me some variety. I can jump into PvE whenever I want with my friends, if I'm trying to race for the leaderboard, and potentially the top 5 of the leaderboard, you get an extra prize that week, right?
Yeah.
You get some extra gold, you get an epic loot chest, something cool to allow people a different way to push the game and play the game, because, oh sweet, look at me, I'm on the leaderboard now. And then you have your quick, fun warm-up type things like Pull Party, Dodge Brawl, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it.
Oh, yeah, I for sure think something like that could work. So I do want to mention Haloran's tweet here concerning Brawls, because he has a different approach to them and a different thought about them. So he mentioned to us that he thinks anything that encourages play that runs counter to playing the game properly does the community a disservice in the long run. I think people bringing quick match and, to a lesser extent, brawl tendencies into ranked modes has caused a lot of the frustrations one can feel. And then he goes further into, he got into a discussion with Taylor Wright at Red Lamp on here about the warm-up and break fronts, that thinking it can work with that, but just that the mindset between fighting and brawls and quick match affect people wanting to approach more standard play, like people not soaking experience or taking fights down talent tiers and stuff. So, and I've seen, this is a discussion that has popped up on points in the past, really even when it just comes to quick match.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And which has led to discussions of, we've had of their, the learning tools that new players have entering the game. And, people wanting to become community coaches and stuff to try and help fight this. So it's a weird thing, because not everybody that's playing a MOBA wants to get into ranked play or a competitive aspect. You have people who just want to play an AI. You may have people who just play brawls. Who knows? There may...
Especially if you flesh out the brawl system.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that could potentially even bring a whole new audience into the game.
Mm-hmm.
There were some people who picked up Heroes that I know they picked it up because of the PvE brawls.
Yeah.
Really cool. I would probably, in a lot of ways, disagree with that statement, because if you actually look at the numbers, quick match is by far the most played mode. By far.
Yeah.
And so...
And they say it was like 35 or 40%, something like that. Actually, it might have been.
Yeah.
It was about 40.
I completely understand his view. He is someone who is with the upper end, the professional scene, so much more. He's a caster. He sees those high level plays. He sees the potential that Heroes can be. But at the same time, Blizzard needs to cater to their audience. And while, yes, it is good to have this high level pro stuff, their bread and butter players are playing quick match.
Yeah, because let's not forget, this is a game first. It's not an esport first. And you can say that with any sport. Football, for instance. There is professional play, but before you play on the professional level, you're playing as a kid. So I guess your argument for brawls to ranked in Heroes could be flag football to tackle football. When it comes to football, you don't want kids playing flag football because they're learning to reach and grab with their arms instead of get their body out in front and wrap up and bring somebody down, which I would say there's a lot of NFL players who don't even know how to tackle. So maybe they should learn to do that. But
I mean, regardless, a lot of these things are teaching. They might be teaching bad map habits potentially, but a lot of them are teaching things like dodge brawl, teaching skill shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
right there.
Really
Pull party, teaching skill shots.
And with the role, there we go, stuff that's going to be coming into quick match to build better teams. Stuff like that is going to help with quick match when it comes to preparing people to enter, if they want to, draft or ranked mode, when it comes to learning like what compositions work, synergies that work. But I also think, if you are somebody who's concerned with the people entering a competitive scene with not enough knowledge, or that they've learned bad habits, I feel like it's kind of our responsibility to try and do what we can to help, like people that have become community coaches. Or I was talking with somebody the other day, I don't, in quick match, I always still just hop into team voice. I don't, most of the time, don't ever say anything. A lot of times, nobody else even joins. But there are occasions where people will join. There are people who will ask why I made decisions that I made, or they'll ask me questions about the game. And I'm there to be able to give those answers to help. So, it's not all on, oh, well, this game mode is hurting the game for a competitive reason. I don't like it. It should be taken out. And I'm not saying that's what Lauren's saying. But this is a game that just happens to have a competitive scene. So you have to keep that in mind first. And if we want to raise the competitive level of this game, then that's on us.
Yeah, I think it's very, and we've talked about this several times. I think it is very important to try and raise the level of knowledge in the general community.
Mm-hmm.
That just makes for better games.
Yeah.
Right. Just across the board. And there's been discussions and stuff. I don't necessarily think taking away brawls and taking away quick match is the way to do that. I think there are far more options that will allow quick match and brawls to exist, but then still teach players. And we just don't really have those in game yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully we will at some point. I'd really like to see it. But I think brawls were a fun experiment. I think they kind of are lacking an identity right now, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is I'd like to see Blizzard fully flesh it out and give them the real identity.
Yeah, and I think Blizzard's trying to figure out what they want to do with it as well, because it's been a long while since we've seen anything new pop up in there. Right at this point, it's just been a rotation of pre-existing things. So maybe it's something.
Yeah, the Horseman one I think was one of the few unique ones that we've seen recently.
Yeah. But thank you to everyone that, added to that conversation. It was a very good
discussion.
It was very good. I liked it. Now, let's go ahead and move on to some lore talk as we had the new comic come out.
Stay a while and listen.
Welcome to Lores of the Storm.
All right, so comic number 4, Orphea, was released this week. And TBK, you have opinions.
Just a few. I will... man, I will say, Blizzard, guys, I was tracking with you. I was on board until this 4th comic. And while the art is spectacular, the story and pacing is extremely convoluted. It is so hard to figure out what is happening here. And just over the course of all 4 comics, if you take the 4 comics as they are, they're horrid comics. Because if I were to just hand somebody these 4 comics, they would have no idea what's going on. It would be nearly impossible for them to figure out, because especially with the 4th one, because as far as I'm able to tell, the 4th comic picks up after the cinematic.
Well, I don't even know that far. Like, it's like, I think like some of it's before, some of it's during, some of it's after. Because the battle obviously didn't end in the cinematic, but some battle ends here. But there's also pre-battle. So I'm with you on, I don't really know what happened.
So it's weird because we see like the tail end of the cinematic, kinda, is what I think. Then she goes back to Ravencrest, to the tower. You get a little background on her mom, whose name we don't know.
Ash.
As far as something like that. You don't find out a lot about her. She's got white hair though, so
it's Ash.
Blizzard likes white hair. Then she goes down to a prison, and for some reason, I think the old lady is in the prison. But then a few pages down, she's healing her. But I don't know if the healing is from the same thing. And if it is, why did she go back to the tower where her dad was? But then her dad let her go down and get hurt and then healed by the... It's weird. We do get to see Dark Nexus Dahaka.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Please give skin, Blizzard. And you see the old lady who was in the first comic. And then, so apparently she gets hurt. Then she gets healed by the old lady. Then she has this red shard.
She had this one in the past.
Comic,
yeah.
But they didn't talk a lot about it. And then apparently some evils are so vile they must destroy themselves. Which makes very little sense to me.
No, it makes a lot of sense. For instance, I was watching Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets today before the show. And it's like, Tom Riddle's notebook. He destroys it with the Fang of the Basilisk. It's that same type thing. She has to destroy the Nexicon or whatever it is. Or maybe it's the Dark Nexus thing with the evil shard. She destroys it with itself.
Yeah.
It makes sense if you don't think about it.
Yep. So much sense. And so they fight again. And he gets mad at her and shoots off her backpack sarcophagus and then berates her, like a good father figure. And then she gets all the relics together and shoots them at him. And he's just like, nope.
So where'd they all come from?
I don't know. That somewhere in the house, I guess. And then he's just like, you can't stop the Dark Nexus. No one can. And then she takes the shard and she hits it on the Dark Nexus, I guess. And then he shoots her in the shoulder. And then it turns blue. And then she does something to the Dark Nexus, which is now blue. And he gets sucked in to the Dark Nexus.
He got transported to another realm or dimension. And then Ant-Man is going to have to go in and shrink down to bring him back.
At least he'll be safe from the Thanos snap.
No, he's bringing... Thanos is the next hero. With him? Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
As well as Spider-Man. Those are our next heroes.
So, obviously, from that entire dialogue, Comic 4 was extremely convoluted, very confusing. And honestly, so I am 100% behind the lore push. I love the idea that Heroes is getting its own lore. My biggest issue with it is that they have not done enough to make that lore clear. This whole comic series, and like I said, this would not fly as a normal comic series. The comics themselves are basically 12 pages each, and there's 4 of them. So that is maybe 1 to 2 issues of a normal comic. And they crammed so much story into such a tiny amount of panels that there's obvious pacing issues, there's obvious story issues, and there's obvious clarity issues. This needed to be a 10 or 12 issue thing at minimum, I think. Or they needed to release much more supplementary content. And I say that because someone actually asked on the forums on Reddit today, can someone explain to me the changes in Dragonshire? And so Cloakin, Kevin Michael Johnson, actually replied to this. And he said, thanks for the awesome questions. The Lady of Thorns is not dead post-Comic 3, and neither are her children, but she has been turned to stone. The singularity of her realm is still technically in her possession and still remains at the location where it was dropped by the Ravenlord in the throne room of Dragonshire. She now speaks to her people and heroes on the battleground via the singularity and remains the realm lord of King's Crest, at least until someone attempts to wrest it away from her. seeing as she is in a particularly vulnerable state. The minor aesthetic update to the map and Dragon Knight, along with the announcer, was to bring the battleground into line with the state of King's Crest after the events of Comic 3. The environment team has a few more polishing elements they'll likely push for the battleground at some point in the future, but didn't have time to get it on for BlizzCon, all of which are purely aesthetic. And then someone asks, does the power of a Realm Lord extend to the Realm Lord's children? And to that extent, does having the power of the singularity make you immortal? Rhaena's kids looked pretty dead, as did the Dragon Knight. And then he responds, the power of a singularity provides its Realm Lord is tied to the individual. A singularity has a kind of intelligence that binds it to the one who has control. They aren't mere objects that can be stolen or passed along. They must be achieved through conquest. Anyone who isn't a Realm Lord can't even corporeally connect with one. This is actually one of the more subtle and interesting pieces of Orphea's launch trailer. When Orphea inadvertently connects with the Raven Lord's singularity, while in combat with her father, it actually reacts. This dramatically spikes the Raven Lord's fury, the implication being Orphea was actually in the midst of contesting for control of the realm, even if that wasn't her direct intention. So, having the power of a singularity does not make you immortal. And the kids were just knocked unconscious. So that right there, in those two paragraphs, was just as much or more lore than I've been given through the comics.
No, it is for sure, because that explains what happened at the end of this comic. In that why it turned blue, what I assume now is she has taken control of that singularity stone, and the Raven Lord's been sent off somewhere else.
If that's even the singularity stone. That could be like the Dark Nexus portal. I don't know.
Well, it was hex shaped, but yeah, who knows?
See, and that's the problem, right? So this is my problem with the lore. It's not that I don't like it. It's that they're assuming we know way more than we know. And that is a really annoying way to write something, because as these people who are writing it, they know all this stuff. Like Kevin Michael Johnson just freaking dropped massive pieces of information in the Reddit thread.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have known that stuff, these comics would have made a lot more sense. But yeah. I didn't. They do. I don't know. Who knows how much lore they have cooked up. But the problem is all we have is 4 very short comics and 1 cinematic trailer. That is it for the entirety of this thing. We needed 10 or 12 more comics, and we needed some long form stuff like the novels that they did for Warcraft for the BFA launch. They did several short novels that explained a lot of what was going on inside the game's story. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's kind of my rant. It's one of those things where, and we saw this at BlizzCon. We saw this in our developer interviews. They're just dropping all this information that you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah. So my current issue with the lore and how they're going about it, and let me say, I was super excited when it first started happening. Like I was crazy. I would still like physical copies of those comics, just because I like the art.
Totally. The art's amazing.
But I'm worried, and if when they drop new stuff, I'll still be excited for it. I'll still read it, but I'm not looking forward to it like I was. Because from what I got at BlizzCon, all of these comics that we got, and so therefore pretty much all of the lore we've gotten at this point, was specifically created and designed to introduce Orphea to the game. Which is a little weird for me. And again, I love Orphea. I love that they did this. But it seems like that's the reason they started wanting to do lore.
But if that's the case, why would they update Dragonshire?
Well,
why would they take the time to care?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying like they're done, but I don't know. It's weird because they had the idea of doing lore first because that's where, they were just Orphea came from a concept Oscar drew up for a lore character, and then they created these comic books to introduce her. So who knows where they're gonna go from here? Yeah. And maybe it'll get better because they're not having to worry about like, okay, this is why we are doing this so that we can get this character in game and we have this timeline because we want to do it at BlizzCon. So maybe now they can open up more and explain. But overall, I'm just not. It feels like they didn't start creating lore because they wanted to give Heroes of the Storm, which was created with never having lore in the first place, lore. But maybe, I don't know. I'm just confused at this point.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm not even disappointed because again, this game did not like need the lore. It was one of those things where it's like, I didn't know I needed this, but I really want it. So I'm not.
Well, that's the thing. Now that I know that I really want it,
yeah,
I'm just very disappointed that there's apparently a very rich lore, but it has not been shared with us that much. And the thing that kind of tells me that they're not doing that on purpose is the fact that in Blizzard interviews, in a Reddit post, they just drop these huge lore dumps.
Yeah. Maybe because of their having
all the things this year, I feel like this was one of the few like ball drops that they've had that they really could have capitalized on. They really could have fleshed out more, and it just felt like it felt like they had an amazing skeleton but didn't put any meat on the bones.
Yeah. I would agree that the comics were extremely short, and maybe, extending those would have absolutely helped. Maybe it was a timeline thing, again, of wanting to get Orphea for BlizzCon. But, hopefully they have realized by people asking these questions and stuff and not understanding and having to explain in depth on Reddit that they aren't giving enough information or that they need to do something different. Maybe they continue to do these comics the way they are and they're fine, they work great, but they add in some other stuff, supplementary stuff to help with that.
That's all I want, really. I want give me a long form thing, give me a dedicated lore page on the Heroes thing that explains a bunch of stuff. Like the in-game events were really cool. PvE Brawls, heck yeah. I think lore-based PvE Brawls is an amazing idea. You could easily tell story through that, and that would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So we'll see where they go from there. This was the last comic again that they had planned for Orphea. So
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, we'll see.
I want to see more. It's got me. They've teased me, and then they haven't given me much, and I just want to see more.
Well, and it's funny because Drelvik in chat said that he was neutral and at times ambivalent about introducing lore to HOTS, but now he's warmed up to, or they have warmed up to the idea of it. So I'm interested if that is because you like what they've been doing, or it's just the concept has become cool and it has you intrigued, but you're not thrilled about the way they've implemented it. Or maybe you are. But yeah, I would be intrigued in hearing some feedback on just what, everyone's opinions are on the way they've done the lore up to this point so far. So
in fact, that may be a question of the week.
Yeah, possibly.
Potentially next week. What are your thoughts on the lore?
They said the concept has them intrigued. So that's good. So, yeah, if you have opinions, tweet them at us, shoot us an email, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. Let us know. Let's move on. We don't have any HGC stuff this week.
But next week.
It's coming.
Next week, the roster changes will have closed.
So we will see.
It's starting to trickle out a little bit. I haven't seen a ton yet.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
So it'll be fun times next week with Orphea as Hero of the Week and a lot of HGC stuff. But we do have some community content stuff this week, TBK. So
lots of good stuff this week, actually. First off, I've shouted this out a few times, and it continues to be relevant as he just updated it. It is JHow's tier list and map tier list guide. It is one of the most incredible, best one-stop shops for instant access to tier list, for like going to a map, checking out which heroes are really good on that map, finding builds, etc. It's just an amazing resource, and everybody should check it out. He continually updates it for most of the major patches, so definitely check that out. And remember, all these, for our audio listeners, all these will be links in the show notes, lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com, or over on the HeroesHearth blog. For the episode, we'll also have the links. Secondly, the Sasquatch, or as I more affectionately call him, Noah, because that's his name, has come up with a really cool Eridar Yrel skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like it. I like the skin concepts. It's a very well done one, so definitely check that out. And speaking of skin concepts, holy crap!
This is my fave.
Princess Orphea. It reminds me of it feels to me like very Alice in Wonderlandy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that vibe?
Yeah, so I got a vibe. That was my first thing, and then somebody mentioned Beauty of the Beast, and so I also see that a ton now, but it's definitely more Alice in Wonderland. But I love it. It's beautiful artwork, and I think it fits and works perfectly.
I would buy it.
Yes, instantly.
Most definitely. Yeah, very, very good. Also, in kind of keeping with the Reddit AMA recap, a user on Reddit posted, this was Ghost Dunk. They actually attended the BlizzCon charity dinner, and they were able to spend about 3 hours worth of time with the Heroes of the Storm devs, and they asked them a bunch of different questions. A lot of it is back-end type stuff that's really interesting. Don't have time to go over all of it, but it is a really interesting read, and I would highly recommend you check it out because there's a lot of just interesting stuff, I guess, in it.
Yeah, well, and it's like some quick examples we can give of heroes who have just haven't received anything since the release date. Lost Vikings back in 2015. Dahaka.
Well, that's actually a separate thing. That's the next thing.
Oh.
The previous thing was a guy who just got a ton of Q&A time with the Heroes dev team during the charity dinner. But yes, now that you bring that up, this is actually a mini discussion, right? Is someone Grinty on Reddit posted a nice Reddit thread on a list of heroes who haven't received a skin since their release.
Yes.
So
for some examples, Lost Vikings, 2015, and then Dahaka, early 2016. But the Dahaka one, surely we're getting the Dark Nexus Dahaka at some point. Like, surely.
It kind of feels like it, especially with his legitimate appearance in Comic 4. I'd be totally good with that.
Yeah, but it's a surprisingly large amount.
Lost Vikings has not had a new skin since February 10th of 2015.
I feel like that's not something that's been since release. They haven't received an updated skin. Because they have their base skin. At that point, there were master skins, and I'm pretty sure the PJ skin didn't come with them at launch. Maybe it did, though.
Maybe it came out on February 10th.
Yeah, but this just says, heroes since launch, since the release.
I don't remember. That's been a long.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago. It's a long time, but yeah, Dahaka, Medivh. Some of these, of course, a lot of these have gotten recolors.
Yeah.
Of skins. One of my biggest ones on here, Ragnaros. 12/14 of 2016. Like, I really want a new Ragnaros skin so bad.
Talk to Noah, Liz. We got Mechaforge Ragnaros ready to go.
Yep,
then, of course,
we did make that.
We still really need Serial Ragnaros.
Serial Ragnaros would be cool. And Kel'Thuzad is on that list, 9/5 of 2017. It's been over a year. Let's Liz.
Holy crap, that's been over a year? Kel'Thuzad's been out a year?
Yeah, Gamescom last year.
Oh my goodness.
Or PAX last year, or whatever it was.
Man.
No, Deckard was PAX. I think, yeah, Kel'Thuzad was Gamescom. But hey guys, Lil KT.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. But yeah, Probius, Lucio, Hanzo, Blaze, Phoenix, Deckard, Yrel, Mephisto, and Mal'Ganis. Of course, Mal'Ganis just came out. Mephisto just came out. Yrel came out just a few months ago. Deckard came out a little more than a few months ago. But there are 15 heroes who haven't received a skin since their release.
Yeah.
So really hoping we see skins for several of these people on the list. And if there's a lot of these have a good reason. Like Ragnaros, you're doing double effort because of Molten Core. Lost Vikings, you're doing more efforts because it's 3 characters.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, a lot of the other ones, I'm not sure why. I don't know.
Maybe they just have some super sick, awesome stuff in the works that takes a while. We'll hope.
Maybe.
We'll hope.
Like I said, out of all the ones on that list, I want the Ragnaros skin.
Yeah.
I really want the Ragnaros skin. And then finally, to wrap things up, I wanted to have a little mini discussion. This was a Twitter conversation that it was actually started by Tim Rizzo, who does a lot of reporting on the esports side of things. I kind of picked this up, and there's a lot of good discussion that came out of it as well. The lack of Heroes of the Storm merchandise. And this one has always been in the back of my mind and has really bugged me because it feels like to me Heroes, out of all of the Blizzard titles, is suited for some extremely cool custom merchandise. And not only that, if you look at the Heroes dev team has some of the sweetest gear, shirts, and whatnot of any of the games. I mean, you see them wearing it around at BlizzCons and events all the time. I mean, 2 years ago, they had those amazing Ragnaros shirts. Last year, they had the really cool colored Double Dragon shirts. This year, they had the Chomp shirt and the sweet Ravenlord shirts.
Yeah, the Chomp shirt was a different thing. That was just... That wasn't like a official shirt for them or anything. That was... I believe it was Lana just designed that shirt for some of them.
That's what all of those are. That is what all of those are.
Well, the Ravenlord one's different because we can purchase a version of that, but it's Orphea.
But that is one.
Yeah.
That is one thing. And so it's... And the hoodies, even. Like, there's some really cool community hoodies, but they weren't generally available.
Yeah.
And so... and you go back, they had some amazing Mecha Storm shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. It feels like Blizzard is really missing out on some incredible merchandising opportunities. Not only the fact that Heroes allows for these amazing custom worlds, like I would have bought so much Mecha Storm gear, like holy crap, give it all to me because I will buy all the Mecha Storm gear. The Chomp shirt, I would have bought a Chomp shirt in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
like that was awesome. Like, and so it's kind of baffles me a little bit that the gear store doesn't at least even just do versions of some of these dev shirts. But it seems like out of all the Blizzard titles, all these crossovers that they're doing have huge merchandising capabilities and potential. Like, people want this stuff, and yet for the last several years, Heroes has had some of the most like anemic store selections of any title.
Well, and so I agree. First off, I'm hoping they might actually be getting a little better. For instance, this HGC hat, I love it. It's incredible. It's a new era hat, which they haven't done before, at least for Heroes on some of their pre-existing ones. But I'm wondering if that's just more for like specific HGC branding. I'm wondering if their thought process is, oh, well, if people want like a Heroes thing, like all of our characters are from other games, so they can just go get like that game's shirts, which is a wrong thought to have.
Yep, very much so.
And it's also, I mean, merchandising, like cool stuff, people wearing it in public, that's a huge marketing thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're just trying to make money from selling merchandise, which you could if you had a lot of good stuff. Like, that's a lot of marketing. I actually have quite a few Heroes things. But again, a lot of those are just like community member things that people can't buy. And I get asked about my shirts all the time when I wear them out. So I think it's a huge missed opportunity. And I hope in the future we get better stuff.
I hope to really see them step it up this next year. Like, especially for the big themed content drops that they do, like the Mecha Storm one, like the Call of Kel'Thuzad that they did, like the ones they really put the 2, 3, or 4 that they really put a lot of effort into every year. It would be awesome. And we saw it a little bit this year with the Nexomania. They did have 2 shirts for Nexomania. That was the only one. But I would love to see that with all their big theme drops, like a Dreadlord Jaina merchandise type thing, Mecha Storm merchandise.
So
the WoW special merchandise with shirts or posters or whatever of some of these other game heroes and WoW skins.
So the other Mecha Storm thing I think they missed on, which I would freaking love. Why can't
Netflix show?
Well, why can't like a Mecha Tyrael model?
Heck yeah!
To buy and put together.
They have these Overwatch and WoW statues.
Well, I don't. Not even a
statue.
I mean,
statues.
You could do a statue too, but like, I mean, he's very clearly based off of like, you know, a Gundam mech suit or whatever.
Yeah.
And people love those models. Like, I would 100% today, if you put that out, I would buy it instantly to be able to put together and put on my shelf back here, which has a ton of space. So,
yeah. Blizzard, give us things that we can spend money on. That is Heroes related. I want to get more Heroes gear, but I can't because you just don't have it.
All I can do is spend money on boosts.
Yeah,
and I have to, wait another 365 days to do that now.
I wanna buy the T-shirts. I wanna buy the posters. I wanna buy the statues and the mechs, and all that stuff. Yeah. Let me throw money at you.
Let me just.
I want cool Heroes merchandise.
Let me the ability.
Let Lana design it all.
To set up my direct deposit from my work just with you guys, like.
Yeah, straight to the gear store.
Just make it an option.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Sorry, that was my merchandising thing. I want more cool Heroes gear.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point because they have a lot of cool stuff they could do. One last thing here before we get out of here, we do have a email. Right. Our email comes from Naraki. He says, do you guys feel like more skins that depict in-game versions from WoW should make it into HOTS? like a white Worgen Greymane with the long coat, the Admiral Jaina, Bolvar Arthas. They already have some of those with Post Theramore Jaina and Sylvanas, but I feel they could always add more. Speaking of skins, I'm still crossing my fingers for a Frostlord Ragnaros this Christmas. I still find it unacceptable that he hasn't had more skins, even the Light Lord from Hearthstone.
I feel like we just talked about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would
community.
buy Frostlord Ragnaros.
It's like the community has a lot of the same thoughts on some of these things. Yeah, I think it would be cool to get like the white Worgen Greymane. You know how he is older in World of Warcraft right now. But at the same time, like, it as cool as that stuff is, that's not like a huge difference. So with Heroes of the Storm, like, I would rather him come with just that, like, these crazy cool skins, instead of spending resources on that. The bigger question is, why do they deviate from how they currently are in their existing IPs? Maybe it's a animation thing. Maybe it's a, I don't know, just from the view we have, make them easier to recognize. But it's actually an interesting question for the team. So
yeah, that would be an interesting question.
But I would, yeah, I wouldn't mind if they did it.
I wouldn't be opposed. I think some of those would look pretty cool. The BFA Jaina would probably look pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the BFA Greymane would look really awesome. The BFA Anduin would look really cool as a hero.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get Anduin.
So if we have a little Ragnaros, if we get a little KT and then Anduin comes to the game, I hope we get a little Anduin.
Oh my gosh.
He's just a little blockhead dude from
from
WoW.
Back in vanilla.
Yeah. Runs around. It'd be great. And then they can bring back Big Head mode, and he would look even goofier.
That is another thing on my wish list. I want Big Head mode back for April Fools so bad.
Well, 6 months away. We'll see.
I will do everything in my extremely limited power to make sure that happens.
5 months away.
Yeah. That's definitely enough time. And start tweeting at him.
Yeah, and we've
want Big Head mode back.
We've asked them about it at least at one BlizzCon, maybe two, and they're always just like, "Oh yeah, that was fun." Like, yeah,
we might could do that,
maybe,
yeah.
And they don't,
but they need to.
Yes. So everyone send a tweet to Blizz Heroes. Bring back Big Head mode. Hashtag. That's what we want. I don't know. That's gonna do it for this week's show, though. Before we get out of here, we'll tell you a few places we can be reached. You can find us on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and Patreon at Lords of the Storm. You can find us in-game at /join_LOTS, or there's a link pinned to our Twitter. You can join that as well. You can email us feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you feel so inclined, you can also shoot us a review over on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to the podcast. You know, just to help out the show, whether that is, you know, having suggestions of what it is you would like to see us do better, or if you just really like the show, 5-star reviews do help us be seen better in all those areas of where you watch or listen to our show.
And we appreciate it.
We do. You can also find us individually here. You can find myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at Gizmozord. And then occasionally on Convert to Raid presents the BattleNet News, which is the World of Warcraft podcast featuring all things Blizzard.
Everything's Heroes.
Yeah, it's Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. Multi can be found on Twitter at Multizord, as well as his Hearthstone, almost said Heroes again, Hearthstone podcast.
Heroes.
Yep. Hearth Casual with Ro. And that's at Hearth Casual. TBK, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, and of course over on HeroesHearth, where you can check out my blog that's got interviews, map concepts, discussion articles, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And before we get out, we want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, HeroesHearth, for helping support the show, as well as our mods in chat, Wicked Kitten, for giving out the codes today. And since it's official now, happy birthday, Wicked Kitten. We appreciate you. Until next time, we will see you all same time, same place, next Wednesday night. Closing out the Heroes Hearth Wednesdays ranked up. Till then, have a good one, everyone.